Okay, let's have a look where this bee is going. Where is he? Can you see him? He's trying to figure out how to get into these flowers. Right, okay, Mr. Bee, you've got a problem here, because with the Aquilegia, you need to go underneath the flower to get the things that you're looking for. You're on top of the flower, Mr. Bumblebee. Now, come on, be clever. You need to go down underneath the flower to find the nectar and the pollen. Have another go. Nope. Oh dear. Underneath, Mr. Bee. I think this maybe is a young bee that hasn't learned how to get the pollen from the Aquilegia yet. I feel like I need to help him. Do you know what I can see though? I can see his pollen pockets on his back legs. I'm going to tell you about how those work in a minute when we go inside. Will he work it out? Where is he now? Where are you, Mr. Bee? You're over here. You're still on the top. Look, if I show you without getting stung. The thing is with these, Mr. Bee, is that, look, they go upside down. That's it. You nearly had it then. Go on. See? Come and look at this one. You can see your pollen pockets or pollen baskets. Oh, you're so nearly there. Come on. Have another go. Get into this one. Oh, do you know, sometimes you just can't help a bee. I guess he'll work it out. Like I say, perhaps he's just a young bee. He's not figured out yet how to get those two things that all bees are looking for, which is pollen and nectar. Let's leave him be to figure it out, and we'll go inside and learn some more bee facts, and hopefully then by that point he'll have figured out he needs to go underneath the flower. Let's leave him for now. I've come inside now. Oh, I did feel sorry for that bumblebee. I can only assume that he was a young bumblebee who hasn't just figured it out. You know, the most important thing that a bee does is to pollinate the flowers. And for a bee, he knew it was somewhere around there. He needs to figure out how to get to that nectar and the pollen. So yes, all this week we are going to celebrate all the amazing things about the bees, okay? Lots of different bees. And of course, whenever we want to get smart about something, we need to read a book. So there's always an excuse to buy some new books, have bought 2 new books. This is the first one, the Bee Book. And on the back of this, it tells me that we will find out the answers to all of these questions once we've read it. What's the buzz about honeybees? What do they do all day? Why are bees important? And find out how bees need our help and what we can do. So that's really important. It raises an issue straight away that we have a bit of a problem with bees. We're going to find out why bees are so important to the world and to us human beings, and what we can do to help maintain a large bee population. So we're going to read all of this book this week. And then the second one is a really large book, which I'm going to use mainly for the illustrations because they are wonderful. Barely fits into my camera. The Giant Book of Bees, and this has got some wonderful, wonderful illustrations in it. So let's get going. Let's see what we can find out. So my first question is, how long do you think bees have been about? How many years have bees lived on this planet for? The same length of time as human beings? Longer? A shorter amount of time? Do you think bees were around in the world at the time of dinosaurs? Do you think there were buzzy bees at the same time as the T-Rex and the Diplodocus? What do you think? Well, my first fact for you today is that bees have been on the planet Earth for 100 million years. Just say that number again. It's such a long time, isn't it? 100 million years. That's a lot longer than us humans and even longer than some dinosaurs. So here's a great picture to show you that bees have been around for longer than dinosaurs. And we know that because some fragments of amber from prehistoric times that still exist today have captured the bodies of wasps and bees, actually. So we know that they were prehistoric, and we know that bees were around at the same time and even before the dinosaurs. So they're a very ancient creature, a prehistoric creature. And there are also lots of different types of bees, not just the bumblebees that we saw today, but there are 20,000 different species of bees. Some bees live with lots of other bees, and these are called social bees, and other bees live on their own, and these are called solitary bees. And bees are found all over the world except for one place, in every continent except, I bet you can guess which one. Where would it make sense where bees maybe weren't living? I'm sure you're right. They're found all over the world in every continent except Antarctica, down at the South Pole. And the next thing the book tells us is that some bees are very big. The giant bee, Wallace's giant bee, is the largest bee in the world at almost 4 centimetres long. So that's about that long. And it can be found in Indonesia. And some bees are very small. The dwarf bee is the world's smallest bee at just 2 millimetres long. Oh, that's almost too small for me to make with my fingers. You might need a magnifying glass to see this one. Some bees are angry. I need to find out more about this. It sounds terrible. Killer bees escaped from a science experiment and have since spread across South and Central America. These bees get very defensive, stinging 10 times more often than other bees. Some bees you might already know. Bumblebees are the fluffy bees that you may have seen buzzing around your garden. Well, we were watching one just now. Now, this is amazing. I did not know this. Some of you might have done, particularly if you're Harry Potter fans, perhaps. This is amazing. My fact of the day for you. Did you know that the Old English word for bumblebee was Dumbledore? I do bring you the most amazing facts, don't I? The Old English word for bumblebee is Dumbledore. So I can only imagine that that's where J.K. Rowling got the name of Dumbledore, the great wizard in Harry Potter, from the Old English word for bumblebee. I think I might start calling them Dumbledores from now on. Like all bees, a honeybee is an insect. All insects have 6 legs. Oh, we're talking about honeybees now. There's a picture of a honeybee on this page. And honeybees, I think sometimes, children, you might mistake them for wasps, but actually when we look at their body type in a second, you'll realise that they're quite different. And these are the bees that are incredibly important to the whole ecosystem on Earth. Let's find out about honeybees. All insects have 6 legs and generally have 1 or 2 pairs of wings. Honeybees live together in a large group called a colony. Every colony contains a queen bee and worker bees. The colony live in a nest. Some nests are wild and some are kept by humans in beehives. Now, let me show you the anatomy of a bee body. If I can hold this up, it's such a big book. It's difficult for me to hold and point and talk at the same time. So here we have a honeybee or a bee's body. I'll just try and hold it there. If I put it like that, I can raise it up then. So it's made up of 3 parts. So on here we can see labelled the head with the antennae there. We'll find out why those are important. We can see the body. You see it's made up of 3 sections. The head, the thorax, this circular part, and then this largest part here, the abdomen. So the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. And then over here we have got a close-up of the head parts, if it was facing us, and you can see a very long tongue here, and I'll be explaining why that's important. And these, I think, are the jaw parts called the mandibles there. So there we go, that is a honeybee. Let's find out what it does. So when it's warm during the spring and summer, and there are lots of flowers around, honeybees are busy collecting 2 things, pollen and nectar, to feed the growing colony. So they're not just collecting it just for themselves there and then, but they actually take that pollen and nectar back to the colony or the hive, where they use it either to feed the little ones or to store to keep them going through the cold winter months. Honeybees use the nectar to make honey in the nest. This will feed them through the late autumn and winter. When it's cold, honeybees can't fly. So in the late autumn and winter, they stay in the nest and eat the honey that was stored over the warmer months. They keep warm by huddling into a tight ball with the queen bee taking the warmest spot at the centre. We'll be learning about the queen bee and different types of bees tomorrow. Now, this is another great labelled diagram, which actually shows you the inside. And the most fascinating thing here, oh, first of all, I'll show you this. Can you see this on the bee's back legs? I think if you looked really carefully, I could see them. You could see two little yellow sort of dot type things on the bumblebee's back legs. These are called pollen baskets or pollen pockets. And what the bee does when it's collecting the pollen from the flower, it often gets them on these front legs, and I think you probably could see with the bumblebee, it then kind of pushes them, moves its legs, pushes them onto the back legs where it has this pollen basket to gather the pollen in so that it can take it safely home. And the other amazing fact, which I'm bringing you today, is that bees have a special stomach to carry the nectar home in. So they're not eating this all at once just for themselves. They're carrying the pollen and they're carrying the nectar back to the nest or the colony. And this is called a honey stomach, I think, where the nectar is stored, taken back to the nest where it can then be used to make into honey. Let's see if I'm right. I think I'm right. Okay. A honeybee's body is made up of 3 sections. We said this, didn't we? A head, a thorax and the abdomen. A honeybee doesn't have a nose. Instead, it uses its antennae to smell as well as taste. So those antennae are really important to the bee. A honeybee has 5 eyes. It has 2 big eyes, which are excellent for detecting flowers, and 3 smaller eyes that detect light. So you can see on this picture, the 3 smaller eyes are up here on the top of its head. That's an amazing fact, isn't it? Ah, we saw this on the other diagram. The mouth has a long tongue, which the honeybee uses like a straw to reach into flowers and suck up lots of nectar. Ah, a honeybee stores nectar in a honey stomach whilst it is carrying it to the nest. Imagine having a separate part of your stomach just to collect that nectar in. Legs carry pollen to the nest. The front legs push pollen off the bee's body onto its back legs where it is packed into pollen baskets. Amazing. I think we can take 2 more facts today. Why do bees buzz? And then, we need to find the answer to this, which my question was, do all bees sting and do bees die after they have stung you? 2 more facts for today. Why do bees buzz? You have probably heard the buzz of a honeybee, but have you ever thought about what causes it to make that sound? For a bee to fly, its wings have to beat very fast. This makes vibrations in the air, and we hear that as a buzzing sound. And for some bees, buzzing is even more important. The bumblebee, the Dumbledore, the bumblebee, lets out a loud buzz while shaking its body and wings. This shakes pollen off flowers, allowing the bumblebee to collect more pollen to take back to the nest. So bumblebees really do buzz very loudly. And we now know for 2 reasons. Firstly, because their little wings are going really, really fast. And secondly, because if they're in a flower and they make a buzzing vibration noise, it shakes all the pollen off the flower parts so that the bumblebee can collect it even more efficiently. And finally, the stinger. Honeybees and other bees use their stingers to protect the colony. Do all honeybees sting? No. Only the female honeybees can sting. The male bees are harmless. Well, that's incredible, isn't it? Does a honeybee die when it stings, or do bees die when they sting? Yes, they do. When it stings a mammal like us, a honeybee dies. Do you see how the stinger has a jagged surface? Can you see that there? Because this part is inside, this is the bee's bottom. This part is inside the bee, and then this jagged stinger under a magnifying glass there is outside of the bee's body. And because of that jagged nature, if it gets stuck in, it actually pulls the stinger right the way out of the body, and the bee can't survive without a stinger. A honeybee can't survive without a stinger. The only exception to this is the queen. And the queen bee, which we'll be finding out about tomorrow, her stinger has a smooth surface, allowing her to sting, sting and sting again without doing any harm at all. So only the females can sting, and most of those females will die if and when they sting a mammal, except for the queen bee. She's the only one who can sting, sting and sting again. However, she normally stays safe and sound having babies in the hive or the colony. We'll find out more about that tomorrow. So, amazing bee facts today. Keep your eyes open. There are lots of buzzy bees, particularly bumblebees, Dumbledore bees, at school as lots of flowers start to bloom. So have a little look what they're doing. Have a really close look. See if you can see their pollen baskets on their legs, and see if you can see them pushing the pollen from the front to the back. And maybe, unlike our bumblebee today, you'll see bees who are really, really experienced at finding the nectar and the pollen. I'll have another look for another bumblebee tomorrow. Bye for now.